native title doesn't actually give that much. It recognizes rights, but they give way to future acts, which is sort of where you know, someone might want to carry out some mining or whatever. So, but they do give you the opportunity to get around the table, and that's one of the things that for years Aboriginal people were just ignored, and particularly in WA, where it's such a mining state, that yeah, they just ran roughshod over everything, despite heritage legislation. Most of the people were actually ignored until, at least with native title, they've had the opportunity to get around a table, and an opportunity in to do some major negotiations which have got compensation for the people, which they can then use for themselves.
So Carolyn has been known to many in the ASCM over the years, particularly those in WA, but also other parts of Australia. And we thought it would be good to invite Carolyn tonight to share a bit about herself, her life, her work, her faith journey. To begin with, I'd like to ask Carolyn to just tell us briefly a bit about your work and in your day job, Carolyn, and also in the Anglican Church. You bear many national and Perth responsibilities, and then we'll go into more depth about each of those matters. But if you could just, in a few words, tell us some of the very exciting and responsible positions that you hold.
Thanks. Well, I suppose work-wise, I'm currently engaged as in-house legal counsel in the Yamaji Malpa Aboriginal Corporation, which is the native title representative body for the Yamaji, which is the Geraldton, Murchison, Gascoyne region in WA, and for the Pilbara. Probably done more work in the Pilbara, and that's the reason for the backdrop here, because that comes from Guruma country. It's a place called Jungari. So basically, I suppose, running native title claims and negotiations in that respect. In the church, I'm currently the chair of the National Public Affairs Commission of the Anglican Church, and I'm also on the standing committee of the National Anglican Church. In Perth, I'm on various committees like the Diocesan Council, the Social Responsibilities Commission, Legislation Committee, and until just this month, I was the convener of the Aboriginal Ministry Policy Group. Yeah, so that's work in church in a nutshell. I worship at a parish in North Perth, which is sort of the middle of the road Anglican. Let's put it that way.
Okay, thank you, Carolyn. So can we ask you first a bit more about your work as a native title lawyer? You've done that work since 2003, I think, and before that you were a partner in a private law firm, of which the former Attorney General, Mr. Durack, was formerly a partner.
That's right.
And then since 2003, you did some native title whilst you were in that private firm as well. And now you're working for the corporation, as you mentioned. Could you tell us a bit about what it's like to be a native title lawyer working for an Aboriginal-run organisation?
Yeah, I mean, it's, I suppose where I first started doing heritage work before there was the Native Title Act, and that was what got me into the, I suppose, the scene with Aboriginal issues. And then when the native title came in, I could actually get paid for some of the work that I did, which was good. However, because in a private law firm, the representative bodies really didn't have the money to employ private lawyers extensively in the area, and I discovered that I really loved it. So I basically said, well, you know, why don't you just pay me to go and work? Well, they offered me the position to work with them instead, which I did. I mean, I've probably concentrated more on the claim work side of things, and as an in-house counsel, I've had more of an overview of the different claims, so I haven't had to to deal with the day-to-day inquiries in many respects, but I suppose it'll get pulled into troubleshoot or I suppose to proof witnesses, etc., for hearings and trial and that type of thing. But yeah, there's the claim work, and there's also the negotiations with governments and mining companies in relation to future acts, and those sometimes go to hearing as well if an agreement's not reached. So there's those two aspects. I've got some photos which might be useful. I don't know if Michael. One is there's one photo called Waimak Regions, which just gives a picture to New South Wales people who don't know Western Australia that well as to. Oh, this is probably the last one. Yeah, thanks. Sorry, I haven't got these in order, but it's the last one. Just shows you where the regions that we work in.
Oh, wonderful! Yes, we can see that.
Yeah, I mean, the Commonwealth government is basically divided up the whole of Australia into different regions and recognises different bodies for the different regions. So the one that I was in was originally a Yamaji region land council, and then it eventually got recognised for the Pilbara as well. So that's where you can see is the areas where I work. I'm based in Perth, but because it's such a wide area to cover, it's easier to fly actually from Perth. And then I've just got some assorted shots. I think if Michael wants to show those, they're about. Oh, not that one. I'll come back to that one later. But sorry, that's Chum Creek. There's some.
I thought that looked familiar.
Yes, that's right.
There's some of your Outback Australia, aren't there?
Yes, that's right. And just gives a picture. Okay, so that's the one, the federal court in a hearing.
Right.
Which is quite interesting that a friend of mine, Elizabeth Smith, once came to one of these hearings, and she was a liturgist, and she was fascinated by the liturgical nature of it all. Oops.
And she's written some wonderful hymns.
Yes. So that's the olive python one. I don't know if you saw that. See that?
Yes.
And oops, I'll go backwards. And that's the Fortescue riverbed, and that's one of me talking to counsel for the respondents at the hearing. Oops. Okay.
Right.
Okay. All right. So that worked. So that's just a picture anyway of the wide variety of things we do. Most hearings are actually on country, so you spend time on country proofing witnesses, and then actually the court comes out and sits down with them, which is good.
And Carolyn, what successes do you feel that the native title regime has had in Western Australia? What are the upsides and what are the downsides?
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be one of those, one step forward, two steps back sometimes. I mean, native title doesn't actually give that much. It recognises rights, but they give way to future acts, which is sort of where someone might want to carry out some mining or whatever. So, but they do give you the opportunity to get around the table, and that's one of the things that for years Aboriginal people were just ignored, and particularly in WA, where it's such a mining state, that they just ran roughshod over everything, despite heritage legislation. Most of the people were actually ignored until, at least with native title, they've had the opportunity to get around a table, and an opportunity in to do some major negotiations which have got compensation for the people, which they can then use for themselves. But of course, on the downside is, I suppose, for the first time, there's really been something major to fight about within a group, and that has caused a lot of division. Whereas people in the past may not have cared too much about who was in the group or who wasn't. When there's big, compensation to fight over, then that becomes an issue. So that's probably, and it doesn't give as much as people would like. Of course, that's the other thing. I mean, there are some areas of exclusive possession, but even having exclusive possession doesn't mean you can always exclude everybody. It's just you can exclude people until until there is the government either tries to compulsorily acquire the land or grant titles, tenements, and other developments in relation to that land. But I think it is a step forward, at least an important step
And
forward.
what do you find most satisfying about that work, Carolyn?
I just think, I mean, just I suppose the joy when people have got determinations, even when it doesn't give that much in terms of power, it's recognition, and that's really important for people. So yeah, there's the overwhelming joy at these determinations to be recognized as the people who own that land, in a sense, as the
Yes.
right people for country. And as I said, with some of these deals, particularly the Pilbara, there's big money involved. And so there've been deals which have pumped in millions into the Aboriginal community. So they've been able to do things for the first time that they've never been able to do. I mean, they've set up structures, they've invested in businesses and that type of thing. I mean, of course, there's a lot of trial and error, but when it does work, it's great.